So good morning. As you can tell, I'm kind of half in the running attire. I've just been for a run. Absolutely knackered now, to be honest with you. It said it wasn't going to be windy, but it was. Anyway, I just want to say, first of all, a quick thank you to everyone who's left me some sort of questions for a Q&A. I want to answer some of those in the video today. But obviously, I've gained a load of subscribers from my sort of fragrance videos. And I just want to say again, thank you for everyone that's commented on those. I'm glad you've enjoyed the series as well. I'm definitely going to do more fragrance videos. But I kind of wanted to do a little bit about me today, because obviously I'm aware you're all, some of you have really kindly left comments and subscribed, and you probably don't know a lot about me, and I'm hoping you'll want to stay along and join me on this as well. And probably just I just kind of want to give you a bit of insight of who I am, what I'm doing, why it's called Harry's Fundraising Challenges, what I've been up to essentially. And just hopefully then you'll know a little bit more about me, and hopefully you want to stay along. But as I said, thank you very much. As I said, I'm going to share a few things about myself, a few things I've done, a few things I'm interested in, just hobbies, work, achievements, and then hopefully answer your questions at the end. So let's crack on. So breakfast tends to be quite a process. So I'm going to show you now my process, because, whether it's porridge or having just Weetabix, it's not your standard breakfast. But I love it. I have to say, I absolutely love it. So let's show you what I'm having. I'm preparing this the day before, by the way. So when I eat this, it'll actually be tomorrow. This is nearly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Just getting ahead of the game. I like to be organised. Right, so I've got some very random things here, but I'm going to explain all. In here some Weetabix. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I'll put some Weetabix in the bowl. In there we've got dates, pumpkin seeds, peanut butter, basically Crave. If anyone's tried Crave, it's that. Cacao powder, cinnamon, my fruit and nut mix, and this is my pure protein powder essentially. And what I'm going to do is basically that is going to be my breakfast. So I'm going to put my Weetabix in, a few of these, so dates and seeds, nuts, all of that. It's all going to go in the bowl, and then I'm going to make a protein shake. Instead of having sort of milk on it, I basically put my protein shake, because it's vanilla flavour, over my Weetabix. Obviously, I won't do that tonight, but it'll be all prepared now, ready to tip on in the morning. So let's get it all done. I've only got one Weetabix in there, because I'm going to add a yoghurt at some point as well. And then I have a giant orange as well in the morning. And of course I'll add things like peanut butter as well. So normally it's quite filling. So that is my routine for breakfast. It's a bit weird, but honestly, I love it. Okay, so it is now the morning, 5:58, done the sit-ups, now it's time to do my breakfast. So I've got my protein shake. Going to tip it on over my Weetabix. Then I'm going to add my yoghurt as well. So tip my yoghurt in like so. Love it. It's just gone 7 a.m. What a lovely morning. Again, out along the seafront, and you probably worked out I'm always out running. I absolutely love getting out. And for me, obviously the premise of this channel was because I was doing an ultra event, and I've done races in the past, and I was, to be honest, at the time I was a pretty decent runner. My 10k time 37 minutes, came 10th in a local race. But for me, it's the mental benefits and just being healthy that I really enjoy. And when you've got a view like this and the weather's like this, you just pause for a second and go, wow, lovely, how lucky I am to be out first of all running and just to have this view. I'll explain at the Q&A a little bit later on why, it's Harry's Fundraising Challenges, essentially what I've been raising money for this year. Essentially, though, what you would have just seen is a picture of me in hospital. I had an ankle op a couple of years ago, or 2018, 7 years ago, and that time's flown by. And you would have also seen a screenshot, which are my watch stats from the last year, where I've basically done nearly 50,000 steps a day, which is basically a marathon a day for last year. This is where I kind of go back to exercise in my life. but it can be bad as well. It can go over the top. And the last sort of couple of years, I've got into some unhealthy habits by trying to almost be too healthy. Essentially, from 2 years ago, I was 9 stone 11, which is absolutely normal weight, by the way, for my height, about 5'8". I managed to drop a few months ago to about 8 stone 1, which is about 10 pounds of the weight. So I only lost 2 stone when I didn't need to. And yeah, it was a conscious effort because my brother was losing weight. I thought, oh, that's not good. And I felt good after losing a bit. But as I said, it got to the point where it became unhealthy and I was doing excessive stuff. And essentially the reason I've kept these videos going, so I've done my fundraising challenges now, but the reason I've kept this going and still doing these videos and fragrance ones and all sorts is because these were a game changer. If anyone sees my early videos, I was extremely thin. I was getting up at 5 in the morning to walk on my own treadmill, and I was just only eating fruit. And there's been some negative physical things as a result of that. Obviously the weight loss, but my hair was dry, my nails have curved, and thankfully they're starting to grow out now. And there were just other things in my body I was noticing. And I said, I just wasn't looking well. People at work were concerned. Obviously people at home were concerned. And the videos where I saw my back in one of them, I did like a cold shower video. And you could see every part of my spine. So yeah, they've been, essentially these vlogs kind of, even though I did them to kind of share my journey with people who donated to my fundraising. They're really important for me to see actually how bad I looked, and yeah, thankfully I'm a lot better now. But to be honest with you, I've kept this going really just because essentially I enjoy doing it, and hopefully those of you that are new to it have enjoyed them too, because it's kind of a bit of a hobby at the moment. I've kept it going just because I find it such good fun. Run done, 10 miles. Now it's time for my least favourite part. Stretching. Can't touch my toes. So I'm just walking to the gym now. So yeah, the gym's kind of for me. I love going to the gym as well. Fitness is a big part for me. But really it's to try and get some strength back in my arms. As I said, where I lost so much weight, I got so weak. I could barely lift a table at work. And, yeah, it's just a case now of just trying to get some strength back up. So I've been going quite a lot lately, working on upper body strength. I've managed to go from not being able to lift more than 9 kg to 23 kg on both arms now. So yeah, that's not too bad. 11.5 both sides. I'll take that. And yeah, it's just nice to sort of see a bit of a physical difference. So, but I do like the walk down. So walking's a big part for me now. I love walking. And the first fundraising challenge I did this year was a walking marathon, but obviously you see me walking around with these headphones in a lot, so what do I listen to? Is it music? No, I listen to royal podcasts. So royal history is a big interest of mine, and yeah, some of those pictures you'll see in a second is just some of the places I've been: Windsor Castle, Westminster Abbey. I love going back in time, just looking back at basically what shaped the world today, really, in England. So yeah, it's another sort of unique hobby of mine, but gives me something to read, I guess, and listen to. Now, probably the question most of you are wondering is why fragrances? What got me into fragrances? Why is this linked to what I've been doing lately? Well, I do kind of know where it started. I had a slight interest. My very first job was a reception job. I had a pink tie, and I just remember I bought a couple of sprays. First one being Versace blue jeans, and a Zara Wanted by Night, and I was getting a couple of compliments on them. And my dad was buying me Calvin Klein Obsession, which I really like. I want to get that one again, and Dupe, and yeah, I just got the odd people saying you smell nice, and obviously from there you get a bit more interested. Then I kind of stopped it because I went into a sports job on the holiday park I was working at, and obviously when you're outside people don't notice it so much, so I kind of lost a bit of interest. And then during COVID, my brother had Paco Rabanne Pour On, so I never saw a retro fragrance. I just loved the smell of it. I thought it was an Aqua de Palma, and
yeah, from there I bought it, and obviously through COVID there wasn't much else you could do. And yeah, just started building a bit of collection, started to get, because my brother was liking them as well, he would have these loads of parcels, kind of 6 parcels a day, all the fragrances. And I was just spending his like, oh yeah, that's really nice. And he'd come back because he was still working through COVID at the time. I was on furlough. And yeah, it was just from there, I was like, oh, I'm going to get that one because that one smelled nice. And as I'm sure all of you know, when you start, you don't stop. Just left the gym, nearly midday. That's not too bad at all, is it? Almost done. 30,000 steps as well, so quite a lot. So yeah, I thought I'd just kind of give a brief sort of background of my employment history as well. And again, it kind of ties into fitness. So as I mentioned earlier, I did a reception job, and for the first year, it really got my confidence up, which was fantastic. It was great for me. I got Employee of the Year that year on the park that I was working at. And that allowed me to transition into a sports coach role where I do things like archery, rifle shooting, football. And then I kind of wanted to go into education because I enjoyed working with children, but I wanted more of a career. So I was thinking of becoming a teacher. Did a few years as a teaching assistant, and my role was kind of sports focused again. So I picked the school teams, and I'd work with children with special educational needs and disabilities, do physio plans for them, and yeah, just do general things like that. And that allowed me to transition into a community role after I decided teaching wasn't for me. And again, I was working with vulnerable parts of the community. So again, children with special educational needs, I go into schools and do some one-to-one sessions. I worked with a local charity, which is the charity I did my ultra marathon for, which are young adults who had learning difficulties. I sort of run coaching sessions, home education children. So those really who maybe don't get the same opportunities, those who maybe struggle to work in sort of classroom formats. So yeah, and through that I'd have to apply for funding. So yeah, very much a community role. I absolutely love sort of, again, I love doing a sports-based role because I get to wear comfy clothes as well. But I think if you can help others, you feel great. I always think it's better to give than receive. You always feel better for it. And yeah, over the years, that's given me a lot of confidence as well, knowing I can make a positive difference to people. So yeah, as though you would have just seen those pictures of presents and all sorts of things. They were gifts from children when I was at school, and so it just means a lot. It just shows sometimes we can really make a difference. It doesn't matter what role you're doing. We can all make a positive difference if we put our mind to it.
Oh, 85. So, you've probably noticed over the last few days I've had a dartboard in my room, and I've been using them as well for my fitness fragrance videos. Now, there is a bit more of a story to it. I obviously love darts. I love playing darts. To be honest with you, these days, it's just to listen to music most of the time. However, there is a lot more of a story behind this. So I'm going to share a little bit about my sort of background with darts and some of the amazing experiences I've had. I have 3 stories essentially that I'm going to share. And what you would have just seen is a picture of me holding a trophy. But this essentially, right here, is the trophy that matters most. This was the trophy that kind of is linked to the one you would have just seen. And what it says is UPDA Senior Player of the Year. And essentially what happened, I was part of an academy called Petersfield Darts Academy, so in Hampshire. And it was a unicorn-sponsored academy. Now, unicorn, and I'll show you here, used to make the dartboards. And they sponsored some of the best players in the world at the time. So Phil Taylor, Raymond van Barneveld, Adrian Lewis. If anyone watches darts, you'll know these players. And essentially what happened is when you got Player of the Year at this academy, you would be invited to join, because it was a unicorn-sponsored academy, a group essentially called Generation 180. So you'd be sponsored by them, and they'd make your darts for you, and they'd do all these things. If you ever needed anything, basically they were there to support you. And I managed to get Player of the Year, and because of that, I became sponsored by Unicorn. So I was sponsored by the biggest brand in darts, alongside Phil Taylor at that, and they made my darts for me. So let's show you what they look like. So yes, you could purchase Harry Annall's darts. So when I was about 14, so I'm very young looking there, at the time I was the youngest player to ever be sponsored by them. And yeah, they basically came to the academy where I played one day, asked me to sort of do a signature so they could put them on flights. And then I've got my own darts here that has my name engraved on them. And yeah, you could buy them online. So when I was 14, I was getting checks in the post, basically for anyone who bought my darts. And yeah, it was very exciting. I was the very cool kid at school for this, because nobody at the time was really playing darts. And yeah, that was a little bit like a claim to fame for me. I want to say these were about £30 at the time. But yeah, they were a replica basically of a very, very expensive dart. So I think that's why people like them. And yeah, I certainly loved them. They did a very good job on these. Now, what you also would have just seen is a picture of me practicing with players like Michael van Gerwen, Raymond van Barneveld, and others, some of the best darts players in the world. And from this academy, so the academy gave me great experiences, as did playing for county youth at Sussex. And one of those experiences that I won a competition, I won a tournament, and I got invited to this event in Portsmouth, where essentially the best players were there. It's like a big exhibition, and I basically, because I won this tournament, got to play in it. I was one of the 8 players. I think there was 8 players there, and yeah, I basically was going up against 5-time world champion Raymond van Barneveld on stage. So I'll show you the programme, and I'll tell you how it went. Brochure of the event, and there I am in it. So there's my little profile telling everyone who I am, what my walk-on song was. I was absolutely terrified. At this time, I wasn't playing very well. And I think on the night when this tournament was, I relaxed. It made me play well, and eventually I got into it. And also, what's quite funny, if I go back to the front of the programme, it says tonight's format, and there I am at the top. It's Raymond van Barneveld, Harry Annall's Raymond van Barneveld. And what's the best bit? Is they just thought, just in case I beat him, yeah, I might go all the way to the semis and final. But yeah, I did lose 4-0. I didn't play very well. I was very nervous. But at the end of the day, I was 16, and what an experience it was. Very, very grateful for the experiences I've had in darts. Now it's just a case of just being a hobby for me. But yeah, I can always talk about these experiences. So it's time to do the Q&A, so answering your questions. I'm all set because I've got my black coffee. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through everyone's individually, and yeah, just kind of hopefully answer those and give some of my thoughts, because there's quite a lot of fragrance ones. So yeah, I'm looking forward to answering them. Let's crack on. Okay, so I'm going to do your questions first then, Jane. So you said to me, are there any fragrances or fragrance notes that negatively affect you, like make you sneeze or tickle your nose? Well, there's a couple I didn't like that I bought. One of them I actually owned twice. I don't know why I bought it twice, to be honest with you. And it was Jeffrey Bean Bowling Green. I'm not a massive fan of those really, really old school sort of fragrances, that are, I say, green. They just, I don't know what the note is in it. I can't say what it is. I don't know if it's the fir or the pine or whatever it is. I just, yeah, not a fan of it. And Aramis Havana was another one. Very, very smoky, but it had this it's horrible to say, but it had this urine smell to it for me. Gets great reviews on Fragrantica, but for whatever reason, I don't really like it. And then in terms of sort of fragrance notes, well, I'm not a massive leather fan or oud fan, actually. I remember oud a few years ago, really, really popular, really in thing. But yeah, never really liked those scents. They're not for me particularly. And I had a Aqua de Palma as well, called Mirror. The main note was myrrh. Wasn't a massive fan of that either. So yeah, they're 3 notes I'm not a huge fan of. I do quite like my floral notes. I said rose is really strong. It's not my favourite note, but the strength of it, I'm quite comfortable wearing it, even though I do think it does lean more sort of feminine. And any good tips for running? I have to say, first of all, if you want to run, but if you don't enjoy running, then don't. Something I've been doing during the ultra, where I've obviously been doing a lot of the training on my own. Essentially, why well, what I was doing is I was trying to find ways to keep my mind occupied. Obviously, the vlogs helped, but you can do things like run to an ice cream shop, buy an ice cream, and then walk home. Run to coffee shops, try and look out for things on runs, keep your mind busy. Spray a spray, keeps your mind active. You can smell like a nice spray when you're tired, it just distracts you. So, yeah, that's my tips for running. But listen to your body. If you don't enjoy running, walk, do other forms of exercise. There's plenty of great things you can do out there. And the most important thing is that you do something you enjoy, because if you don't, you won't stick with it. Thank you for those, Jane. I really like those questions. I have to say they're very thoughtful, and thank you for including a fitness one as well, because obviously I know you're into your phrases, so I appreciate you asking a fitness one as well. User formerly known as T. Sorry, I don't know your name, but again, thanks for all the support. Thanks for following along. So you asked me, outside of phrases, what's the worst smell you've experienced? One smell I hate, and I'm first aid trained as well, but I hate the smell of sick. When I was in school, I went on obviously school trips, and on 2 occasions, about 5 or 6 school trips, I sat next to someone who threw up. Yeah, I really, really hate that smell. It makes me feel sick. So the smell of sick for me is worse than any other smell. Really not a fan. Are there any weird smells you really like? Oh, is petrol a weird smell? I like the smell of petrol. I quite like the smell of sort of wet concrete as well. You know that wet concrete smell when it rains, and that sort of smell you get. I feel like there's a Tom Ford fragrance that might do that. It might be called Noir, but yeah, I'm sure there's a fragrance that kind of mimics that. I quite like that smell. So petrol and wet concrete. And actually, sometimes when you go to like a car garage, you drop your car off, it smells like burning rubber. Quite like that smell as well. Not saying I'd want to wear those sort of scents, but in terms of the smell, I actually quite like it. And then, do I prefer strength or cardio training? Cardio training for me, particularly being outside. As I was saying on my run this morning, just being outside, getting some fresh air, and just having the amazing views. I don't think you can beat it. For me, just being on the move, and I've always found in difficult moments when I've been stressed and whatever, just moving, keeping your body moving is the best thing, and cardio is that essentially. Although, as I said, I do need to bulk up a bit because I've lost so much weight. I am on the right path though, but yeah, I still prefer my cardio. Running's a big part of my life, and obviously the walking is as well. So yeah, I hope that's answered your questions. But yeah, thank you for asking them. Hey, what's that smell? I have to say, I love that channel name. If I could afford something that clever, I definitely would have done. So your questions were, what are amongst your least favourite fragrances? Well, I've already kind of mentioned a couple I didn't like, but I'm going to mention some that I wouldn't buy now, maybe, because I just think they're really popular and they've maybe been overdone. So there's one that I smell everywhere, and I know there's another question that you asked, which is, are there any fragrances you tend to smell everywhere? And it kind of ties into why I wouldn't buy it. Dior Sauvage. That sort of blue fragrance, everyone seems to be wearing it, whether it's a clone or what. I smell that fragrance everywhere, and it was a little bit like that with 1 Million. And for the exact same reason, I just wouldn't buy them for that sort of point. I want to smell different. If you know what you're talking about fragrances and you want to be different, there's loads of good ones out there. And for me personally, I sort of feel like, because I know so many fragrances now, I just want to smell a little bit different from the crowd. One that got quite a lot of love online as well, which I wasn't a huge fan of, Anna Extreme, Encre Noir Anna Extreme, just smelled like a library. It just didn't really, I think because I was doing a sports job at the time, yeah, it was just a contrast of what I was wearing. And yeah, if I was in an office job, to be honest with you, it'd probably be all right. Has my nose improved since I first got into fragrances? Yeah, I think so. As I said, I recognise sprays more now. And I said, I personally, obviously it's personal preference, isn't it? I don't claim to know anything more than anyone else. I'm certainly not an expert at fragrances, but yeah, I recognise scents now. My brother has like 80 fragrances, honestly, and I could probably tell you which ones they are just from experience. So yeah, that's probably the main thing I'd say. I recognise notes, obviously things like vanilla and stuff are very clear notes, but I can definitely recognise when fragrances change in the sort of dry downs and stuff. So I'd probably say my knowledge has got a bit better. And then, what's your advice for exercising in the heat? This is where people get it wrong, in my opinion. People look outside where it's a sunny day, it's been really lovely weather lately, and they think, brilliant, I'll go for a run. Get too hot, get sweaty, and then actually they have a negative experience of running, so they don't get into it. If you're going to run in the heat, in my opinion, go early like I do, or go in the evening when it's a bit cooler. Have an electrolyte tablet, So yeah, they're just like little fizzy tablets, so you don't, because you lose a lot of salt for exercise. So yeah, that's what I would say, and just go easy. Listen to your body. It's one of the main things I said during my training. Just listen to your body. If you don't like running though, or don't like exercise, there's other ways you can do it. As I said, go and get coffee with a friend and then walk back. You'll get plenty of steps up. So that would be my advice. Listen to your body, and yeah, just make sure you take precautions. Don't look outside and just think it's really sunny and hot. That's perfect for running, because actually it's probably the worst thing for you. You're better going in the cold. Okay, Liam, I loved this question, and I never thought I'd be asked this sort of question. So I'm going to read it, because it is very different. You come home and catch a whiff of a funny smell. How would you react? Would you need to find it, or would you try and cover it up? You can't find it and the smell gets worse. How would you go about locating the source? How much would it annoy you? Any good stories about you having to sniff around, follow your nose to the source of a strange smell? Um, if I came home and catch a whiff of funny smell, kind of, this has happened before. We've had this funny egg smell in the house before, and we couldn't work it out. And I think probably the source of it was actually some dead mice underneath the sort of kitchen cabinet. So yeah, I'd probably want to find out what it is first of all. I'd probably ask someone else. First thing I'd do is I'd probably ask someone else. If the smell gets worse, then I'd start to worry, especially over a few days. And it would definitely annoy me. I hate sort of not knowing something, especially if there's a smell, particularly if it's in my room or it's going to affect me and it's not a nice smell. Yeah, so that's probably what I would say. It would annoy me a lot. I'm one of those people, I'm very impatient. If something's on my mind, I have to do it there and then. I can't relax, so it would be exactly the same. I definitely wouldn't cover it up unless I knew it was me who'd caused the bad smell. So otherwise, maybe I would. But I've got plenty of fragrances to cover it up, that's for sure. Any good stories about you having to sniff around? Well, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a strange smell, but in my job, I used to do Segway training, and very nearly, if it wasn't for smell, I probably would have been a fire. One of the Segways overheated, the battery was burning inside. I could smell this really weird smell. I was literally just locking up. And it was only because I could smell it that I realised, actually, something doesn't smell quite right in here. It didn't smell like burning, it was a chemical smell. And I went behind the curtain, and one of the Segways, you could see smoke coming out of it. I reckon if I'd closed that door and hadn't smelt that smell, I would have come back half an hour later and it probably would have been on fire. Because when we, unbolted it and stuff, the whole battery was completely burnt. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not a strange smell, but it shows how important smell is, which I lost during COVID. So, yeah, that's glad I didn't have COVID at that time. So I saved a fire potentially by smell. Okay, and the Lady Cleo, thank you very much for subscribing, by the way, as well. And I hope you enjoyed those videos that I've been doing. And yes, just for the kind words as well. Thank you very much. So you asked me, I'd like to ask, have you had any funny or embarrassing reactions to fragrances you're wearing? Yes, a lot. So particularly with Lush sprays. So obviously working in a school, classrooms have 30, 40 children. But I'll give you an example. I was sitting in the hall once. I was actually doing sports activities in the hall. I was wearing a fragrance called Sticky Dates, which I think is one of the best fragrances out there from Lush. And it just smells amazing. It's like this really nice caramel, maple syrup. Oh, it's lovely. Honestly, pound for pound, the best fragrance I think I've had in the last couple of years, certainly in terms of buying. Basically, the whole assembly stopped once because everyone was like, what's this lovely vanilla smell in the hall? That's what some of the children said. And yeah, everyone was so distracted. I'd left the hall by this stage because obviously I had to get out because the assembly was running. And yeah, it just filled up the room so much. Literally, the whole assembly was like, what's this lovely smell in here? And I knew it was me. I didn't want to say it. Obviously, you never want to say, oh, it was me who smelled really nice, but it was definitely me. And a lot of children in the past have come up and literally just gone, and they gone, ah. Some children are so funny. And sometimes when I've walked down a corridor, again, some of the children have said to me, well, it smells like Mr. Annals down here. And yeah, so I've always been known as that sort of person that smells nice. I've had people, like I said, almost coming up and literally just sniffing me. So yeah, they're the funny reactions I've had. And as I said, I take it as a compliment, really. It's a talking point anyway. And as I said, I love my fragrances, and yeah, it always justifies why I buy them, to be honest with you. Have you ever had any funny or embarrassing reactions to phrases others are wearing? No, I'll tell you a funny story. I'll be honest with you. There was once I was wearing Lost Cherry by Tom Ford, and someone came over and I was sitting next to one of my colleagues. Someone came over and said, "Oh, it smells really nice over here. It smells like a strawberry sort of cherry smell." And I thought, oh, that's definitely me. And the person next to me, the colleague who was sitting next to me, she went, "Oh, that's the cream I've got on my legs. It's like a strawberry one." They said, "Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. What is it?" And then they were like, "Oh, I'm going to buy that." Guarantee you 100% it was my Lost Cherry spray. And I was prepared to say, yeah, that's my fragrance. But she butted in, she beat me to it and told this person it was her cream that she rubbed on her leg. So yeah, it was definitely my fragrance. So yeah, that's kind of the best story I can think of on the spot, that's for sure. But definitely me, 100%. So they probably bought that cream and then realised it wasn't anything what they were smelling, it was actually me. And then what are you raising money for? So I've done 2 fundraising events this year. I've already done them. One was for a charity called Think 18, and essentially that's a charity that supports young adults with learning difficulties in the local area I live. I've done sports sessions with them through my work, and they're so funny. They're such good characters. You have a real laugh with them. They always give it a go, and I just got very friendly with the the people that run it. And what they do essentially is they give these young adults not just sport, but they give them the opportunity to go and experience social events which we take for granted. So going to the pub, going to the cinema, going camping. For a young adult with learning difficulties, you can imagine that's probably quite a stressful experience, particularly if there's a lot of people around. So they just give them that safe environment to build friendships. And as I said, I set myself a New Year's resolution this year. Love my exercise, as you would have seen from this video. Can I use it for a good cause? And I wanted to just find that cause. And as I said, I knew them so well. Really grateful to everyone who helped me raise over £1,000 for them. The Just Giving page is actually still open, to be honest with you, as well. So if I can get any more donations, fantastic. But I've done 2 fundraising challenges this year. One was for the company I was working for. Again, just to kind of keep the activities I was running low cost, because essentially the work I was doing was community-based work. So it was supporting children and families that, have children with special educational needs. It was just trying to provide a lower, an accessible activity for them in safe environments, whether I was doing football or archery or magnetic darts, whatever it was. And yeah, I just raised money, hopefully, to kind of keep those activities low cost. And I did a marathon walk. So yeah, they were the 2 things I raised money for. One for the business or the company I was working for, again, to try and help keep the activities low cost because we relied on grant funding. And yeah, just for a local charity I was doing work with at the time who, as I said, I just absolutely loved the young adults there. They always liked me coming. One called me Mr. Bean for some reason. I don't think I look like Mr. Bean at all, but it made them all laugh. And yeah, as I said, I'm really proud to have done it. And I said, I think the best thing in life is to give to other people, and I couldn't have given it to a better charity. So yeah, that's kind of everything, really. So yeah, that is kind of it for today. I hope that's answered the questions that all of you have asked me as well. I hope I haven't waffled on too much, but again, I appreciate if you've made it this far. And I said I'd love them. I thank you for all the ones, whether it was fragrance related or, just scenarios or anything to do with fitness as well. I hope I've answered them. And of course, feel free to comment if you've got any more questions. Most importantly, I hope I've kind of given you a bit of an insight into who I am. And obviously, those of you don't know me who subscribed recently, but obviously you've just known me as the sort of fragrance fitness person, but I hope that's given a bit more perspective of who I am, and hopefully you'll stick around to watch a few more of the videos I'll do. I'll definitely do some more fragrance ones, and as you now know, I love my fitness and stuff, and hopefully there'll be another challenge soon. Now my ultra challenge is done, always looking for the next thing, that's for sure. But yeah, really appreciate all the kind comments. Again, I hope you know a little bit more about me now, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you for the next video. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll catch you later.